Hey, this is Billy from Permaculture Farm, and today you see me in the kitchen. And only one video before have you ever seen that, and that was with Michelle showing you how she makes that little elixir to keep her little lammies alive. Well, today I'm going to show you how to make something that keeps us alive. Actually, it keeps us alive. It's probably a little more than subsistence food, but it does involve rice, not beans in this one. Anyway, let's just pretend for a second that maybe I were in an apartment or somewhere else. Let's say I weren't on this farm. Let's say I weren't in the middle of nowhere. Let's just pretend I needed something to do, something to pass the time. You know, if anything, in all this coronavirus or whatever they're calling that thing, the Wuhan flu or chitty chitty bang bang, I don't even know what they're calling it these days. With all that going on, you know what? You need to stay busy, and that doesn't mean just surfing the internet. Learn how to do something with these. Expand this, do everything you can. Well, today I'm going to show you how I lay it down in the kitchen making some bomb risotto. Now, let's talk about the ingredients. Okay, first of all, we got some serious extra virgin olive oil. Arborio rice, you want some kind of real starchy rice. This here's my favorite. And I got this Parmesan or Reggiano, whatever they call that stuff. I got it from Earth Fare right before they went out of business. And then dig this, I'm going to steal some of Michelle's high-speed, highfalutin butter, this cultured Vermont butter. You're going to need some shallots, you're going to need some mushrooms. At least you can do risotto with all kinds of stuff. But today, I'm going to do it with these mushrooms. And then this wine, I got in Paris, Texas. Right down Highway 82. But anyway, yeah, this wine legitimately came from Paris. And this stock, typically a lot of folks like to use chicken stock. I've made this probably 100 times and I've experimented, I've done it, I've tweaked it this way, that way. Everybody's got their own way of doing it, but I use beef stock. Better still, I use beef stock that's been used twice already. Once as I was, doing the bones and everything, and second, I use it again when I make a roast in a crock pot, and then I drain it off, and I'm telling you, this stuff is the cat's meow. This is where 99% of the flavor is gonna come from in this rice. So the first things first, we got our mise en place down. That's a fancy French way of saying get your stuff together. Anyway, here it is. I'm about to chop up these mushrooms, grate this cheese, and get this party started. Nothing real fancy about this, folks. Just cut your mushrooms evenly. I like to cut them in half, put them on the side, and then chop them up. That way they have feet and don't roll on you. Okay, first things first. Mushrooms are all chopped up. Now I'm going to put them in this pan. Make sure the oil's hot, and I'm using extra virgin olive oil. Don't get it too hot, about medium heat. All we're gonna do is saute these mushrooms, and then I'm gonna show you a little trick. I don't know if anybody else does it, but I do it at the very end. Make sure that oil's hot. Just put them in there. You wanna add this salt. I use kosher salt. You wanna make sure you have enough in there to draw out the moisture. Okay, so you gotta keep, like I said, these mushrooms, you're gonna saute them. They're gonna lose a lot of moisture, but you gotta make sure you flip them up. Now, my good spatula, I don't know where it is. Michelle probably used it in the garden, probably digging stuff. Anyway, I got this jacked up wooden spoon. It ain't gonna work, but I'm gonna show you this little technique I learned in the swamps of Mogadishu. Yeah, try not to marvel too much about those techniques, but with that said, here we got our shallots. And simple again, just get the skin off the outside, cut it up like you would an onion. In this particular case, I like them relatively small. And I use about 2 small shallots for about 2 cups of arborio rice. Okay, this is the broth. We get it in there now. It's important that you get this stuff hot. You want it almost boiling. If it's boiling, it's okay, but you want to get it near boiling, and you'll see why in a moment. Okay, we're now deglazing with the wine. That's what I'm talking about. That's my special secret right there. You put that wine in there. They're basically wine-infused mushrooms, and I'll hold some back for a purpose that I'll explain here in a little bit. Okay, the cheese, not rocket science here, folks. We're not fusing DNA. Just grate this stuff up, and you want good cheese for this. Real good Parmesan. All right, we'll get rid of these mushrooms for now. We're going to just set them off to the side. Okay, now we put the oil back in the pan. Now we're getting down to the nitty gritty. Okay, we're going to start off with the shallots, and all we're going to do is just kind of sweat them a little bit. Get these guys going, add a little bit of salt. Draw some of that moisture out of there, not a whole lot. There's going to be a lot of salt added later in this dish, so we just want to get this stuff, like I said, you just want to sweat them out a little bit. All right, check it out. Now the shallots are in the pan. I'm just going to get them to where they're a little bit translucent. Then I'm going to take 1.5 to 2 cups of arborio rice. Hey, don't do like this guy Floyd I know, where he used Uncle Ben's. That's primitive, and I don't roll that way. So anyway, you're going to stick that up in here. You're going to roll it up. Actually, I don't have enough oil in there. I should have already had this. But you're going to put this rice in here, and you're going to cook it at about a medium heat until the rice turns brown. That's critical. You're going to find out, because when we deglaze with the wine, you need these things to pop open a little bit in order for the wine to get up in there. You're going to want that flavor. Okay, now we're getting down to it. Okay, the rice is exactly, it's getting real close to where it ought to be. Remember, you want it to be brown. And we'll try to get in a closer shot of it here. Brown. Almost looks like brown sugar. Now that's about 1.5 cups. 1.5 cups of white wine, sweet white wine. That's what I prefer. And all you're going to do is you're going to put that wine in there and you're going to let it cook down until the wine is essentially gone. About to this point right here. Now we're going to start adding stock. Now, like I said, that stock is near boiling. And you're going to add it just enough to cover the rice. And we're going to just constantly stir it. Now, you better be on your bicycle here, folks. You're going to be standing up for about 15 to 20 minutes. So every little bit here and there, you're just going to add enough rice and keep moving it. You're bringing out the starch in that rice. And, of course, you can tell Michelle's filming this because you see her little doggy in the background hoping and praying that I drop that pan. All right, at this point, now, this is taking a little bit of a process. Now, I leave mine a little bit soupy at this point because we're getting to the point where the rice is just about cooked. At least it's not mushy, but it's not going to stick in your teeth either. So you got to test it here and there to make sure, you know, where it is. So now the next process is dump in some of these mushrooms. Now, I'm not going to put them all in there because you want to know what's bomb? Mushrooms that are infused with wine to put in your omelet. So I'm going to leave some of these back. I'm going to turn the heat off. Now that the mushrooms are in there, I'm going to turn the heat off. This stuff is ready to rock and roll, but we're still not done. But wait, there's more. Yes, I'm going to dump this whole stick of butter in there. I'm going to get it going. Chop it up a little bit. Get it mixed in. Now, all that starch from the rice, that's what you've been doing this whole time as you've been working it around. That starch from the rice, it's going to mix with the butter. You know, you got a little bit of fat from the olive oil. So if you're concerned too much about fat, now like I said, I'm doing largely a keto deal, so I can't make it a habit of eating this stuff. But this is really the first time I've made this. This is something William and Michelle have, it's kind of like my signature dish. This is what they've come to really love as far as what I cook, besides what I do on the grill and what I do on the smoker. Okay, we're to that point, and here is the star of the show. Actually, there's a few stars of this show. You want to put about 1 cup of it in there, or 2, maybe even 3. I mean, whoever complained about having too much cheese? I mean, like I said, I was on the road once with this guy named Trevor and Steve, and I made this for these guys when we were in a hotel in, I think it was Louisville, Kentucky. And Steve did appreciate, to his credit, he appreciated the elegance and the sublime nature of a dish like this. And Trevor, I think he would have preferred to eat ramen, or as he put it, ramens. So anyway, the cheese I put in here is Parmesan. And don't get that stuff you shake out of the bottle. You're gonna have to grate it. You're gonna have to get the good stuff. I mean, this is one of those dishes where you can't really get stingy on good ingredients. So you get the best you can. Now, this stuff is as hot as Vulcan. We're blowing a little bit, but I'm gonna do this just like Giada De Laurentiis would do. Stand by. They're swinging. All right, well, that's how the Permaculture Pimp Daddy lays it down in the kitchen. So I hope you guys can take me seriously right now. I even got a chef's hat, for crying out loud. So anyway, let's take away the keys in this whole thing, at least the way I do it, is making sure you deglaze your mushrooms, because it makes all the difference in the world. And also, good ingredients, the wine, making sure you do all this stuff to make sure that it works out. Now, I don't know if this is coming out right now because William, for some reason that I can't seem to understand, is laughing behind the counter. I mean, what am I, a joke? What am I, a clown? I mean, look, I'm deadly serious in this kitchen, so you can laugh all you want, folks, but I hope you know how I lay it down in here. So this risotto is the bomb. It's the shiznit. It's all this stuff that people, it's groovy. It's all that good stuff too. So like I said, make sure you deglaze your mushrooms. That's my little technique. It works for me. And most importantly, the most critical thing, if you don't walk away from anything else, this thing is slipping down my head. If you don't learn anything else, being serious here, if you don't learn anything else, like I said, the stock is key. Like I said, first I started with some bones, then I used it in a roast, and for 2 cups or a cup and a half of arborio rice, you're gonna need about 6 to 8 cups of stock. You know, it's gonna take that much to get it to where you need it. Anyway, for serious cooking tips in the future, you know who to talk to. So this is Billy, the Permaculture Pimp Daddy from Permapasture's Farm. We'll see you next time.